Alright, how should I start this off and say this? Alright, I'm channeling. Apologize, everybody that follows me. I've been gone for a week. I've been, out of balance. But, yeah, everything happens for a reason. Like I tell people all the time. People can lie. The news can lie. Everything can lie. But just know this. Everything has a pattern. People can lie all they want. People can spin narratives all they want. But what will never lie is consistencies and patterns. First off, you can't be real with somebody else if you're not real with yourself. What's real, you can feel. What's fake, you can't relate. Because what's real, you can feel because it correlates and corresponds with your spirit, your eternal essence, things within, the intuitive nature, the things that you can feel but you can't see. Now, I'm going to tell you what I am seeing right now. There's going to be a great divide. Friends, family members, and people close to you, associates. You're going to see great division and great chaos, like you've never seen before in history. There's going to be falling outs everywhere for the dumbest, littlest thing. Now, when we talk about four angels, some people say the four horsemen of the apocalypse, four angels, of revelations, or the vials of indignation. Indignation ain't nothing good about it. Guess what? Because it means that each one of them are pouring out judgment. So which corresponds with the four corners of the earth. So it's the four parts of the world. It's four elements: earth, water, fire, air. And each one of these four angels in these four corners of this earth that are coming through these portals, remember, angels are angles of light and enlightenment. So they're intelligence, but you have etheric beings that can manifest, which there are spirits in the earth, the water, the fire, and the air. So, like it says in Revelation means the revealing. That's what you get the word apocalypse from. Apocalypse means a great revealing. Everything that's in the dark is going to come to the light. Aquarius means the age of information. Remember, the Bible talked about in that day, knowledge will be increased. Let me tell you something else. In that day, knowledge will be increased because guess what? The world is speeding up. You have the internet. You have all these sources and platforms and means of communications right now, Information is right at your fingertips, Like it tells you biblically, seek and you will find. Book of Isaiah say, read precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little, there a little. Because here a little, there a little, you can paint a picture. And that picture will show you a pattern when one thing confirms another. This is how you decode. This is how you decipher, which people call discernment. Discernment means decoding, deciphering, debunking. So right now, what I'm telling you is there's an energy amongst the planet right now. This is not just because the sun is heating up, we're in solar maximum, and the sun cycle. Yes, that has an effect on every living organism on the planet. The central star, which we call the celestial sun, yes, it correlates with the solar plexus chakra inside of our body, the willpower. So right now, solar plexus chakra means personal power and confidence. The personal power is your eternal essence, which you will correlate with your eternal God. Human is originally spelled Hueman, which means God-man, which correlates with, John 13. It says, I believe it says somewhere in the New Testament, isn't it written in your law that ye are all gods? And then Psalms 82 says, ye are all gods. No, it says the Most High judges in the congregation of the gods. Right here, what you see, different names of God, which are all different attributes of God. And these attributes are, dignities. And these dignities, correlate with the emotions and the intentions within. The intention is the driving force, which creates the will, which is the action, which creates the action, because every thought will lead to an action. That's how these things are manifest. But right now, just like Matthew 24 says, how will you know the signs of thy second coming? Thy second coming is just the activation of the Kundalini energy and the ascension, what people call a rapture, of you rising from a lowly state or a dead state to a heightened sense of awareness and an awoken state, which the Bible code word would be the valley of the dry bones. Can these bones live? Yes, the bones are living, is coming back together. Because what's coming back together is the remembrance, Remember, history is his story. That's his story. Mystery is my story. So my story is coming back into play because it was a mystery, because it was hidden and swept under the rug. It's told that it was a myth. It didn't exist. But guess what? There's nothing new under the sun. History repeats itself, so you wait for the path. The path is now. You're seeing the signs and the wonders. You will hear wars, rumors of wars, nations rising against nations. Yes, we've been seeing it. We've seen this for years. Everybody said, oh, it's not going to happen in my lifetime. Oh, this is supposed to happen in our grandparents' lifetime. Oh, this, and that. There's nothing to be scared, because it tells you certain people are already sealed, because that fourth angel poured this vial out upon the sun. Vial out upon the sun. Remember, these vials are of indignation. So whatever's being poured out upon the sun is activating the sun. So that's where you get your CMEs, coronal mass ejection, solar flare, X flare, hitting the earth. Effect on all living organisms. Well, all living organisms. The water is alive. The earth is alive. The air is alive, because it's ether, which is the breath of life, which you talk about in Genesis. And then the fire, it is alive. That's why you're seeing these wild fires. They're wild, untamed, uncontrolled. But it talks about that in the 10 plagues of Abraham and how they would transpire. Every one of those 10 plagues has to deal with Mother Nature. Mother Nature. The floods that are coming out of the ground and hitting certain spots, they are hitting exactly on ley line points. These are energy points. You have positive and negative spots all over the earth, and you have geographical sites. Some sites are holy sites. There are towns built on top of other towns, energy fields, or special, ancestral sites. There's towns that are built on graveyards where mad blood was spilled. And biblically speaking, it's telling you all this is happening because any land taken in blood will be repaid back in blood. It tells you during a great reset or a pole shift. A pole shift is when the pole shifts, the role shifts. So that means that everything was circulating one way, but now it's going another way. Time is speeding up, What they said, the days are getting shorter. So if the pole shift, the role shift, biblically speaking, that would say the first shall be the last and the last shall be the first. Which biblically will also say, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I am the first, the last. I am coming like a thief in the night. No man knoweth the time of the hour, but you will know by the signs and the wonders. The signs and the wonders are the consistencies and patterns in nature. Nature, just as nature has a pattern, our inner nature has a pattern. Now look at the pattern in the people, places, and things right now. You will know them by their fruits. Why will you know them by their fruits? Because it's what they are producing. What are they producing? So a lot of people are going to be terrified right now because guess what? Their spirit is not going to sit well. It's not going to be comfortable in the midst of this new energy when certain people, places, or when certain people, and when they're in certain places and when things start to happen, because that diabolical energy, that low vibrational energy, is going to Once a high frequency being start to pop up and arise and come around them, these people are gonna get sick. They're gonna start malfunctioning. They're gonna start making up things in their head. They're gonna whisper amongst each other and try to find flaws and look for things that ain't even there. You are light, so when you shine light on darkness, it brings exposure. And when that exposure arises, it's not secret no more. And most people thrive off of, the element of surprise or, being able to hide real good and pull strings from afar. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the time is up, People are going to be uncomfortable. People are going to start falling out. People are going to find reasons to be mad at people. Just know, right now, once you start to see these behaviors, it's not even them and it's not even you. It's the spirits. The spirits are causing this derision. So, you might think it's a bad thing somebody separate away from you, but it's a reason for that. Because certain people can't be in your presence when the judgment takes place, Just like it tells you about Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah. I will spare this city. What he said, if there's one righteous person in this city, I will spare this city. And being that it was none, Lot and his wife were told to leave the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, which it tells you in the book of Revelation, this new land will be spiritual Sodom in Egypt. Because, all the abominable things that was going on back then, guess what? They're written in the law now over here. In this place where they call Mystery Babylon, the whore that sitteth upon many waters. Who has a base on everybody's land? Who is in everybody's affairs and who is trying to police the world in spiritual Egypt, which comes from the Greek word Egyptos, which means the house of bondage. It's only one nation that had a Willie Lynch effect to where as though they put people in mental bondage. It's only one place where as though they set laws to keep certain people down while other people can get ahead. There's certain people that actually had people in physical trains, and it's one Pacific nation that has more prisons than anywhere else. They turned this into a monopoly, making money where you don't own nothing. Even if you got your own land, guess what? You're still paying taxes on it. You're paying taxes on land that ain't their land and was never really your land because it was taken from somebody else. So it's borrowed land because guess what? America is a corporation, So it's all about consent in contracts. The same thing with spiritual realm. Consent in contracts. Conjure ye anew. But guess what? Like I was saying, one thing that stuck out, there's going to be an eclipse on August 2nd. Unexpected. They told we wasn't getting another one of these eclipses until so many years, it was like 40 years or something after the fact. But all of a sudden, an unexpected eclipse is coming on August 2nd. And it said that it will be darkness for exactly 6 minutes. Well, we know how these numbers work when you know the numerology of 3, 6, and 9. 3, 6, and 9, but it'll be darkness for exactly 6 minutes. Come on now. We know all throughout history, every time a solar eclipse happens, that is an omen of doom. Judgment always happens after eclipse or right before eclipse. But coincidentally, Trump supposedly sent nuclear weapons over there to the UK and gave Russia 30 days to, cease and desist or quit or whatever war, calling these big martial threats the same way they went into Iran, under the pretense of nuclear weapon facilities, the same thing they did with Iraq and said it was weapons of mass destruction, but they didn't exist. But, just think about that. Nothing is equally yoked, but you can tell me that you can have one thing, and you can tell me I can't have another thing, to where as though I can't be equally yoked to defend myself. How do you think that's going to play out? And then you're doing this to the people that are aligned with your enemies. You have China. You have Russia. You have, China, Russia, Korea, Iran, is it India? What is it? India, Pakistan, one of them, whatever. But they have an alliance. These people are tired and sick of the shit. They know what's about to happen. Once you get an unpredictable person in power, that they don't know what this person's next move is going to be, and they know the deception of the country, a country that made treaties with so many people all throughout history and never kept none of them, you know, a country that makes all these deals and promises and never fulfills none of them, and they only help with a hidden agenda. And we got all these people that praise this, like, yeah, this, and that. Y'all don't really know right now the stage is set, buddy. It ain't no coming back from that. And I'm not trying to promote fear, because guess what? I was born for this. You know, this ain't my fight. This ain't my battle. This is how it's going to play out. While everything else is falling like dominoes, everybody else is terrified. Everybody else is trying to say, this person's weird. This person's this. This person's that. Guess what? You're going to meet your new kings. Guarantee you. Watch. That's if you're not utterly destroyed in the process. Because your fear is going to be the main thing that kills you. It ain't going to be no bombs or no other things. Even the food shortages, you know. All these demons need to fast anyway. You don't need no damn food, you know. But a lot of people, it's like a walk in the wilderness. Like people, you can't have salvation without chaos, you know. And your salvation comes through chaos, you know. It always gets bad before it gets better. Put it that way. And back to this eclipse. Roman emperors, they all was murdered up. Half of them was murdered under the eclipse. They said the Messiah, when he was hung on a cross, even though we know that wasn't a cross, it was a tree, you know, they said an eclipse happened, you know. So these are for sure facts, patterns throughout history. Look at the timeline. Look at the timeline. It's not a game. So if the planet is shifting, that means our bodies is shifting. Our inner nature is shifting. Our inner essence is shifting. You know, nature is alive and well. Nature's been harmed. It's been polluted. It's been defiled, you know. Many are called, few are chosen, so the number is small of those that are going to be vibing on this high frequency, while others, they are going to be crucifying these other ones because they can't comprehend, they can't somehow figure out how to become compatible with that level, and then they're automatically a threat to them because they're against everything that they stand for, and we're speaking this self-righteousness stuff, you know. Guess what? Righteousness is just right knowledge, you know. Nobody's perfect, you know. We are all good and we're bad. It's just what you tend to give more to, you know. I have a bad side and I have a good side. But like the Bible will say, it's a time for peace and there is a time for war, you know. And right now, it's like wartime, you know. You know, I've been slaying demons for a long time. Sometimes I have to go into demon mode. You ever heard the saying, fight fire with fire? You know, or an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Sometimes the same way that they find innocence and they deceive them and they come as wolf in sheep's clothing and intertwine and, you know, get them off balance and then they consume them. The same way I play just like them, demons, and I will go and beat them at their own game. And once I get them right where I want them, it's easier to slay them, you know? So that's what's going on right now, you know? It's a lot of stuff happening all at once. If you've been paying attention, you'll see these military helicopters all flying around in awkward places. You'll see so many things happening, you know. But like, if it says it's going to be just like in the days of Noah, where everybody's going to be partying, going on about business as usual, you know, it's going to catch them off guard. And that's kind of like a thief in the night, you know, because nobody is prepared because they're worshiping the creature more than the creator. So the creature is the one in creation that, you know, they look to for all their wants and needs. So you can never be self-sufficient or independent because you're always in need of these people, you know. And they deceive you by thinking like, oh, you give us these taxes and whatever, we'll provide this and provide that, you know. And it's something It's very deceptive. You know, anything built on manipulation, psychology, and scandalism and deception is going to be dissected in this time. You know, nobody is safe because guess what? Like I said, many are called, few are chosen. The numbers are small. It's like a needle in a haystack. And just by one of those being in one city, whatever region they're in, those cities going to be safe. A lot of people are going to be spared that are standing around these Pacific individuals. And they're the most unlikely individuals that you would think they are, you know, believe it or not, you know. The ones you love to hate, the ones you got so much to say about, you know, you can feel their frequency. You can feel the love. You can feel this, but you still find a reason to hate them, you know. Still find a reason to be mad at them because there's something ain't right within your own spirit, you know. But just mark my words. The clock is set. It's that time. You know, I'm just putting this out here, just letting you know it's that time. August 2nd, eclipse, omen of doom. Be prepared. Military planes in the sky. 30-day notice to this person, that person. Great division amongst friends and family. Vibration gonna be off. People gonna be mad as hell, and they ain't gonna know why they mad. Just know that spirits are stirring the pot. Deuces.